The most recent Miami Grand Prix has given us a foretaste of what's to come in the 2023 season of Formula One, and all of us here at F1 Fans are all excited. It's obvious that many changes took place in the current season of sport, but get ready because a lot of new things are coming our way next season as well. The 2023 Formula One season will be an entirely new experience for the Formula One Championship. The biggest and most exciting change for the fans is the calendar. A lot of places will be added to it. Drivers are excited for the Las Vegas Grand Prix, although there are still some who are threatened that it might retire from the sport if Formula One continues to add more and more maps. I mean, let's face it, it is pretty tiring to bring a whole team and tons of cars and equipment around the world every week. That I'd agree with. But this also gives fans more opportunities to watch the race since it will be accessible. The Chinese Grand Prix and the Qatar Grand Prix are also expected to make a return. They were out of the picture since the pandemic started. Because of this, the ever-loved Monaco Grand Prix is in a very vulnerable position. Rumours have it that it may be gone in the next year, but hold your horses since there isn't any official announcement about it yet. Plus, we might say goodbye to many European tracks next year. This is going to be heartbreaking for the drivers. The Belgian Grand Prix is also rumoured to be removed from the calendar. This is a driver favourite, so it would be a travesty if the race was dropped from the Formula One calendar. Aside from the calendar, rules will also change. I guess the current rule changes for 2022 was not enough, but everything's for the betterment of the sport, right? The current format for the qualifying is expected to be modified in 2023. It has been ongoing since 2006, so it might be hard for the drivers, their teams and of course the fans to follow. Usually, all drivers compete in Q1 with the top 15 going through to Q2. The top 10 faster drivers in Q2 all move on to Q3 to fight for the pole position. Revisions on the rules dictate that drivers should use the hard compound tyre in Q1, the mediums in Q2 and the soft rubber in Q3. But if the session is to be declared as officially wet, then any compound will be free to use. This is going to be implemented because officials think that these changes are to reduce the number of tyres used over a weekend. So that means that the total number of tyre sets permitted for a race weekend will reduce from 13 down to 11. They just basically want to be sustainable while being reliable both at the same time. For now, the tyre rule is mandatory, but will still be tested in the first few races of next season and change if needed. What about the drivers and the teams? Are they also changing? The 2023 Formula One season will really be different. According to reports, 2023 could see the biggest grid shake-up in Formula One history. You have your drivers that are signed up with teams for 4 to 6 years, but there are some with really short contracts who could possibly leave next season. A few drivers are ending their contracts that year. Sergio Perez, Fernando Alonso and Yuki. You also have Daniel Ricciardo, who's been joking that he'll be retiring if it wasn't for Las Vegas. We're still not sure if they're leaving since teams have not offered contracts because it's still the start of the 2022 season. But for sure, there are other changes to the teams. Audi and Porsche are joining Formula One. This has been an ongoing speculation for years that the two brands were negotiating partnerships to enter the highest class of international motor racing. Now it's finally coming true. Porsche will partner with Red Bull while Audi is connected to McLaren. Volkswagen Group CEO Herbert Diess confirmed that the two brands will definitely join Formula One. They actually don't want to use the Volkswagen name because it doesn't fit and the brand will not participate. What he forgot to explain is how the two brands plan on entering the sport. It appears Porsche aims to enter as an engine manufacturer. Right now, Red Bull has their own powertrains division focused on the 2026 changes. They were already linked together in rally racing anyway. Sadly, another rumour has surfaced claiming that Audi might attempt to purchase an existing team and change its dynamic completely, either McLaren or Sauber. The new rule changes for the next season will make it possible for the two luxury brands to help teams be on top of their game and put a hint of luxury identity on them. Insiders claim that Audi has contacted Mumtalakat, the Bahraini government's sovereign wealth fund, and initially offered €450 million to buy McLaren's Formula One division, because they are one of McLaren's biggest stakeholders. So what's going to happen when the two brands join the sport, you ask? Of course, there'll be new logos on the grid, but the biggest changes will be seen on the track. The drivers of McLaren and Red Bull with Porsche and Audi might create the world's strongest sports car group ever. We still have a few months to look forward to those changes. For now, we already have a lot on our hands. Visible changes can be seen on the grid. Mercedes is lagging behind, Haas is in the midfield, and Williams is bouncing back. McLaren is struggling, while Red Bull and Ferrari are fighting for the top. There was a massive change in dealing with aerodynamics in the cars. The livery is also very different from the years before. Additionally, not all teams have properly coped with the 2021 cost cap rule before. The notorious Abu Dhabi Grand Prix in 2021, where Max Verstappen shockingly overtook Lewis Hamilton, changed a lot of things too. The biggest ones include race director Michael Masi being fired, and the handling the safety car became much more distinct. Now, for that never to happen again, the safety car must withdraw one lap after the instruction has been given. Everything happens for a reason, and with that, the past few races of the 2022 season were out of this world. You will never be certain who will be on top, who will lose, or whose car will not finish the track. For example, like everyone, we all thought Mercedes was going to be back to their game since they had a bad start in this year's season. But it's almost the middle of the season and still nothing has changed. George Russell has even unqualified Lewis Hamilton. It's all clear now who are the best teams and who are the best drivers on the grid, because everything is equal and fair. These are all possible because of the new rules and the new drivers for the current season of the most exciting motorsport. But let's face it, Formula One is not the same as it used to be, and it can only go up from here.